A drug overdose, including methamphetamine, killed late Houston City Council member Larry Green. Good afternoon. I'm Sherman Chow. That is the ruling from the medical examiner. Our Adam Bennett is live downtown with what friends had to say. Adam?
Well, Sherman, the mayor said that he had no idea of any kind of substance abuse issues with Councilmember Green. He says this news does not diminish all the work that he did for his district, though he says it does, quote, remind us that our actions have consequences. The medical examiner's office ruled Green's death an accident. They blame what they call the combined toxicity of methamphetamine and chloroethane. That's a cleaning solvent often found in spray cans. Police officers found Green dead inside of his bedroom during a welfare check earlier this month. This was after his staff had called police when he didn't show up for a meeting. Now, Councilmember Dwight Boykins, who was friends with Green, told me this morning he didn't know anything about Green's drug usage, but he says he wishes he would have in order to help.
I was in this space like other, friends, fraternity brothers and others, and no one saw anything. We just pray for his brother and his nephews and nieces, man, and as they go through this, that they're strong and remember the legacy that Larry left.
Houston police said this morning they have received the medical examiner's report. They say their hearts go out to Green's family and say although their investigation is not complete, to date, they have no indication of any kind of foul play. Meanwhile, Green's family tells us they will be issuing a statement sometime this afternoon. I also reached out to Green's chief of staff, who knew him very well. He told me that he and his staff members made the decision that they don't want to know Green's cause of death. He says that is a way of him being able to find peace and also to deal with his grief. Sherman.
All right, we will be waiting to hear from his family as well, Mr. Green's family. Thank you, Adam.
Stay in the vehicle. Show me your hands.
Unnerving video released by Pasadena police showing the moments when a man steps out of his car, pulling a weapon, then opening fire on an officer. This happened yesterday on Southmore and Spooner. It all began as a traffic stop. The officer backing up, as you can see, returning fire and killing the man. The man's identity has not been released. A prominent Houston pastor accused of cheating investors out of $1 million, speaking out for the first time since those charges were filed. Kirby John Caldwell saying he is not guilty and admits to dealing in Chinese bonds at the center of this case. Our Jason Miles is live with more on what the pastor is saying. Jason.
Pastor Caldwell and his attorney held a news conference in a conference room at this hotel behind me. Several members of Caldwell's flock were also in attendance. Take a look inside that press conference. The pastor himself took a number of questions from the media and even a couple of his church members. He said he will be vindicated. Caldwell and a Louisiana financial planner are accused of defrauding investors of more than $1 million. Charges include wire fraud and money laundering, all of it tied to an alleged scheme using old Chinese bonds that Caldwell actually still believes will pay dividends. As you may know, Caldwell leads Windsor Village United Methodist Church, a 14,000-member congregation on Houston's southwest side.
Thank you for the widespread support that I've been getting over the last few days. And just as you were shocked and disappointed, I am shocked as well. And as we go forward, the truth will prevail.
According to the federal government, the bonds sold by Caldwell and his alleged accomplice date back to the 1940s. It's pretty interesting. They were issued by the Republic of China, but became worthless after the 1949 Communist Revolution in China. The pastor's attorney says he plans to beat this case like, quote, a rented mule. I'll have more from the pastor and members of his congregation coming up in later newscasts. For now, we'll send it back to you.
All right, we'll be looking for that. Thank you, Jason. Overnight, the San Jacinto River started dropping. A lot of people up there breathing a sigh of relief. This is around Humble and Kingwood on the west fork of the river near Interstate 69. Several homes in the North Shore neighborhood flooded as the river rose out of its banks yesterday. Many area homes had already been devastated by Harvey there. And while the heavy rain has moved out, the effects are still rippling downstream. Folks in Liberty County are bracing for their first major flooding since Harvey. Michelle Choi shows us the water's track and how residents are preparing.
This is the Trinity River. From the looks of it, things look calm right now, but take a closer look. You can see chunks of debris flowing down, and the river, well, it's been rising quickly, almost 3 feet in the last 24 hours. And folks living here, well, they say this sandy area will be completely flooded along with dozens of homes and businesses. So what's causing this major flooding? Well, flood officials say it's all due to runoff and releases from Lake Livingston. Something longtime residents around here know quite a bit about. We caught up with a few who came out with their boats to pick up fishing lines, getting ready to prepare for what's to come, bracing for what they say is a wall of water rushing down. A lot of these people's homes were devastated during Harvey, and while they're used to flooding, it's still something that takes a toll on them.
Unless you go through it, there's no experience that you can imagine. Just imagine you sitting in your house one day and then the next morning you get up and there's water in your house.
Now, many of these residents wanted to know why officials controlling Lake Livingston Dam didn't pre-release. Officials there say the reservoir is not a flood control dam. Instead, its purpose is to supply water to Houston. So whenever a record amount of rain falls, like the 7.5 inches we got, well, what comes in must go out. So how much water will people around here see? Well, the current record level high of the Trinity River in the town of Liberty is just under 33 feet, set during Harvey. But in the coming days with this flood, this river could rise as high as 29.9 feet and stay flooded well into next week. In Liberty County, Michelle Choi, KHOU 11 News.
Oh, that's rough news for the folks out in Liberty. Overall, the weather looking nice for this Good Friday and Easter weekend. So good news, folks not needing to worry about those Easter outfits or those outdoor brunches. We got some great weather this weekend, Cheetah.
You know what? We really do. We all need to be thankful for that. Yeah, come Saturday and Sunday, picture perfect for this Easter weekend. Even for your Good Friday live look in Galveston. If your plan was maybe to head out to the island, you picked the perfect weekend to do so. It's a little on the breezy side. That started earlier this morning, and some of our wind gusts have been up to about 20 to 25 miles per hour. 60s and 70s. These temperatures, though, will continue to climb into the mid to upper 70s this afternoon. So again, clear skies expected throughout the day. A gorgeous afternoon. We will continue to monitor the Trinity and San Jacinto River, and we are expecting that beautiful Easter weekend. Details on that coming up next. Over to you, Sherman.
All right, thanks a bunch, Chief.